After listening to Justice Mishra, I would have to reshape most of my address. Justice Mishra has indicated in a very lucid manner the kind of emotive response the Commission is rendering to make life easy of those who are in need of it. I am delighted to be associated with the celebration of 30th Foundation Day of this Commission. Congratulations to everyone in the NHRC for being guardians of human rights of underprivileged and vulnerable sections of society. Also, grateful to the Commission for thought-provoking advisories that catalyze action, affirmative action by the agencies that are required to their duties. Appreciate NHRC for propagating philosophy that human rights nurture and blossom in a regime where there is rule of law and not law of the ruler. It is a befitting recognition of NHRC dedicated efforts and high standards that NHRC India has retained its A status of accreditation with Global Alliance of National Human Rights Institutions for the 4th consecutive year. I have no doubt this track record would ever be on incremental trajectory. This indicates our nation's excellent recent record as regards human rights. Justice Mishra reflected, focusing on our age-old civilization ethos, that we in this country take the world to be a village. Our concern is not limited to ourselves. Our concern is for the entire world. We are yet to have another nation that can match our unrivaled record. We never believed as a nation in expansion. Any expansion, particularly of geographical boundaries, involves violation of human rights of an extreme degree. This nation has never done so. I am beholden to Justice Mishra for making reference to our civilizational ethos. Human rights as a concept cannot be reckoned only in the narrow sense of preservation of personal liberty and dignity. They have to be understood in broad context. I will not go further on this because in a very comprehensive, encyclopedic manner, Justice Mishra has indicated and the various advisories issued indicate the various facets in which human rights are vulnerable and need nurturing and protection. I would recall at this time what Nelson Mandela said. I quote him, "To deny people their human rights is to challenge their very humanity," I unquote. And I can assure this audience, those who suffer in silence, their power is enormous on a day of reckoning. And there could be no more eminently justifiable comment than emanating from one who all his life following the footsteps of our father of the nation. Freedom has been defined in varied ways, but the most apt definition of freedom is supremacy of human rights everywhere. Essence. Let us go to the theme of all religions, and we will conclude. Indisputably, human dignity is the ultimate strength. If it is compromised or violated, we cannot have a society that justifies human existence. We can have a more just, safe, and peaceful world only with universal respect for human rights. I can tell you out of my own input that series of governance systemic reforms and affirmative initiatives, particularly in the field of health and economic sectors in recent years, have spinally nurtured human rights. Inclusive growth, and which is quintessence of preservation of human rights. Inequality and iniquitous distribution of wealth are elements that cut into the finest aspects of human rights. Inclusive growth, by its very nature, is antidotal to violation of human rights. Human rights protection assures a dignified life. In our country, it has been reflected in ample measure. When 400 million people came to be brought into the banking network, their human rights flourished. I can say so for the reason that when I became a lawyer and needed a library, 6,000 rupee loan given to me by a bank changed my professional trajectory. I was ever beholden to the man who gave me 6,000 rupee loan in 78, 79 without a surety. And what is the scenario today? Have an idea, and you will find money in this country is not a constraint. And that is why this country can legitimately take pride that thanks to buttressing human rights culture, we have unicorns of more than 1 billion fiscal dimension and startups that have started and stunned the world. When I was a member of parliament in 1989, 33 years ago, one of the most prized possessions of power in my hand was I could give 50 gas connections to anyone in a year. That was a great power. I had a queue of people who wanted it. Imagine the respect we have paid to human rights of our women folk, families of the deprived, that 200 million and more connections, 200 million households were given free. We have come a long way. This is a major milestone in furthering the cause of human rights. We must always be cognizant that violation of human rights and injustice anywhere is bound to diminish our such rights in effective manner. This is more pernicious than COVID. Tolerance of violation of human rights by anyone who can afford to contribute affirmatively, I would say, is culpable and cannot be condoned. I urge everyone present here and those in attendance and media in particular, you guard human rights of others. Yours will be positively assured. Serious challenges to human rights arise primarily on account of the silent and voiceless existence of the majority of our citizens. And that I can tell you. Long back there was a study done. And I am now addressing not this silent suffering. I am addressing to those who in silence, in spite of being capable, in spite of having competence and prowess, do not act. The day is not far when, on account of their inaction and omission, they are bound to be silenced. And that does not augur well for our civilization. I am sure they would act vigilantly so that we live in a world which is visualized in sublimity by our civilizational ethos as indicated by Justice Mishra. When it comes to decimation of human rights, we cannot afford to be neutral. We have to take sides. Neutrality helps the oppressor, never the victim. As a matter of fact, the neutral man is hardly any different from the oppressor. Silence encourages the tormentor, never the tormented. In such scenario, there is no option but to be proactive, and we must interfere. Human rights are quintessential to flourishing democracy. Democratic values are of no significance in the absence of human rights. Nurturing human rights is the nectar of dignity and dignified human existence. I had the occasion to serve the nation in a constitutional position as Governor State of West Bengal for about 3 years. I must express here a very deep sense of gratitude on behalf of the people at large that the report rendered by the NHRC carried highest degree of credibility. The report rendered in shortest possible time as a consequence of a judicial fiat. The work done was beyond my contemplation. I read every word of it, and the first sentence would ever resonate in my ears. Law of the ruler, not rule of law, is the bane of human rights in the state. I am sure this should not be limited to one state. The preposition that emanated from NHRC is a general preposition applicable to any part of the globe. If there is law of the ruler, that is law of an individual, maybe in a family, maybe in an establishment, maybe in a factory, and not rule of law. That's a very, very painful scenario. Flourishing of human rights generates positive ecosystem that facilitates optimal utilization of human resource. Can there be exploitation of human genius if the person is made to suffer indignity? If the person is made to suffer violation of human rights? Civilization takes a new leap into future only when we have an ecosystem that provides fullest opportunity for everyone to exploit his or her potential and talent. Impactful evolution of transparent and accountable mechanism. I'm referring to what is happening in our country. I've seen it for myself. India is having increasingly sharp, incisive, transparent, and accountable mechanism. It is coupled with ease of governance, and that has provided an environment for flourishing of human rights. I say so because facts demonstrate it. If such a system was not obtaining, thousands of entrepreneurs and young minds would have been in queue for unemployment, maybe underemployment. But they are the ones, on account of ecosystem generated, created massive employment opportunities, and their footfall is at a global level. Poor and vulnerable are easy victims of menace, and this menace is corruption. Enough has been done in the country to cut down human interface in dealing with fiscal matters. COVID was a challenge, and where this country, on account of steps taken by it, by the vision of the Honorable Prime Minister, we had a digital footprint everywhere, and there was direct transfer of money. Imagine the entire farmer populace getting 3 times a year direct benefit transfer. Everyone now gets it directly, which means the worst sufferer are those whom we call liaison agents, or those who take a cut. Continual onslaughts on corruption, and I'm sure everyone here is aware, without any distinction, there is unleashing virtually a war on corruption. The corrupt cannot be protected on account of lineage, political affiliation, caste, creed, or region. The corrupt in a democratic society governed by rule of law for sake of tribute to human rights has to be brought to book. The long arm of law has to take it, and this has resulted in benefit going to the deserving ones. Challenge to human rights emanate from several quarters, also state actors, natural disasters, pandemic, famine, poverty, to name just a few. Judicial steps, Human Rights Commission initiatives, and affirmative steps of the government have considerably contained these challenges if we go by our recent experience. COVID is one such experience. But the most soothing aspect of COVID was that those who barely could afford for themselves engaged into hand-holding. I am personal witness to it. I have seen with tears in my eyes a tea vendor will be giving packets to those who are in need during COVID. And that is the greatest tribute that we in this country still subscribe to the best of ethos of our civilization. The pro-human rights foundational spirit, we can find it in our Vedas. And I will make reference to one Veda which I will translate in English for benefit of everyone. May everybody be happy. This was focused by Justice Mishra when he said, we take the whole world as one, which means we care for everyone, not for ourselves or our geographical limit habitations. May everyone be happy. May everybody be free from disease. May everybody see auspiciousness. May no one have sufferings. End quote. I would travel a little beyond human beings. Our planet is not repository or exclusive only to human beings. We have living species, and that is how and why our culture has taken care of this aspect also. Culture of coexistence makes our world wonderful and worth living. I would invite your attention. There was jubilation all over when we got from Africa cheetahs. Go to the theme of it. Go to the cause of it. We in the world cannot suffer a species disappearing. We cannot be cause of it. We have to be a reason for its survival. And that action which we are endangering living beings by reckless, irrational exploitation of natural resources, and those who think they are gaining thereby are bound to be the worst victims of climate change, because they have learned over the years to live in the comfort of that environment while others can face it little boldly. We must discharge our duty. Constitutional scheme of events was reflected by Justice Mishra. I would make particular reference to one duty which is in Article 51, capital A G. Our Constitution ordains every citizen to protect and improve the natural environment and to have compassion for living creatures. India fortunately has a robust and strong mechanism of human rights regulations, both at the center and state level. I must commend and appreciate the National Human Rights Commission for hand-holding the state commissions to be proactive and reach out to every nook and corner of this country. I also appreciate the Commission for being a visionary. Some of the advisories the Commission has imparted, I had the occasion to focus on them, but I did not contribute in the manner in which I should have contributed. As a matter of fact, Justice Mishra, like a good judge, has given a senior advocate some homework to be done so that I can use my platform as chairman of Rajya Sabha, the upper house, to give message to them also that we need to take note of the silent work which a spinal organization like NHRC is doing. The under coverage of their advisories makes media and others responsible for not containing violation of human rights. I have highest regard for media, and I am sure rather than engage in high decibel sensationalization of other news, they must take it in the top gear and as lead news. Protection of human rights is not the responsibility alone either of the government or of the NHRC or of institutions. It's a shared responsibility of everyone who lives on the planet. I urge every citizen to work for protection and promotion of human rights, and this is easiest done because there would hardly be a day when we will not come across, though in a subtle manner, some transgression of human rights. I congratulate Justice Mishra, all the very distinguished, enormously talented members of the Commission, and very hard-working personnel for their devotional work. I would ever remember the time I spent here because I will go from this place inspired, motivated, energized, and invigorated to be a foot soldier to serve human rights for the planet. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Vice President, sir, for your very insightful, inspiring and thought-provoking address.
तो आप सुन रहे थे उपराष्ट्रपति जगदीप धनखड़ को, जो एनएचआरसी का जो 29वां स्थापना दिवस है उस पर मुख्य अतिथि के रूप में शामिल हुए और संबोधन दे रहे थे। उन्होंने साफ तौर पर कहा कि जीवंत लोकतंत्र के लिए मानव अधिकारों का संरक्षित और सुरक्षित रहना बेहद जरूरी है, और अगर मानव अधिकार किसी भी वजह से किसी भी स्तर पर उनका उल्लंघन किया जा रहा है तो उसको लेकर आवाज उठाना भी उतना ही जरूरी है। जो तमाम